Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CADS. The day after the folly at Fulham, the disappointing defeat, the Schadenfreude at Spurs. It's been a tough day. It's rough 24 hours. I've not enjoyed it, but CADS time is here. We're good. So I'm actually joined by at least two people and a third trying to get in. He's been trying for about 15 minutes now. We've been waiting. We're going to have to get started. But joined definitely by Ashley. How you doing, Ash?
All right, mate. Over here. I'm in LA. You guys are over there on the other side of the Atlantic.
Other side of Atlantic, but very, very different places. I'm just outside Paris, and we're also joined by Charlie. Hey, Charlie.
Hi, how you doing? Good to be back.
Thank you for joining us again. And so yesterday, we are gonna have to talk about it because that is the entire point of this. However much we would like to avoid it, as you may have seen, I've changed my backdrop for tonight. This is Tottenham throwing their advantage in the bin, and that's exactly how I felt about yesterday's game.
Oh yeah, look at that.
We had a chance. We were in control of our own destiny, and we've just chucked that in the bin. And suddenly, we need to pull something out the fire and hope that other teams do us a favor. And if it had been a good performance, a good try, I could take it. There have been times this season where we've been beaten, we've been well beaten, and I've been able to look at it and go, okay, there's a reason. We had players out, such and such happened, this happened, that wasn't, this didn't go our way. We put in a good performance, but we got beaten. In this one, we were tactically outdone. We were rolled over in midfield, and there just seemed like a massive lack of effort and application. I hated to watch that game. Hated it. I stayed throughout the entire game, but I did absolutely not enjoy it. I guess I'm not the only one. Ash, what do you think?
Yeah, because I know Charlie's going to have a more positive spin. So have him after me.
So unload on the negativity, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, yeah, I've got 4 words to describe that game. Disappointing. And it was in the effort. That's what I found disappointing, because I know we're looking at a bigger picture. We're looking at not necessarily the results, but are we improving? Are we getting more entertaining? Are we better? Yes, I see all of that. But to see yesterday's game on top of a 4-0 win the week before, where there was application and effort and some creativity and some panache and some flair, we get served up this dirge yesterday. And I'm thinking, how can that be? How can it happen? How can they not show an effort, even if it's in a losing cause? How could they not show an effort? I don't know if Ange would be pulling his hair out. One of the journalists, and he gets really pissed. One of the journalists said, "Are you worried?" And he went, "No, I'm disappointed." I hope we're not. No, I don't think we should be worried, but utterly disappointed. That's my general take on the game.
Charlie, what are your thoughts?
Well, as always, when you're when things are going great, you enjoy them in the very, very moment, and you luxuriate in them. When things are going badly, very quickly I escape to the bigger picture. In fact, before the final whistle, I escape to the bigger picture. If I know it's going to go bad, in fact, sometimes I think as a Spurs fan, I've cultured myself to become very, very big picture. Just as a sort of almost as a sort of defense mechanism against the potential of losing. So it's how I deal with my Spursiness, assuming we all, by association have it, which I'm always happy to talk about what Spursiness is. And I don't think we saw Spursiness yesterday, although it might have felt familiar to some people. But if that was Spursy, then surely many other teams experience Spursiness, which I'd see as a positive thing, that other teams are Spursy, because that means that we really get in other people's hair, and it sort of it further lends credence to the fact that we're global. We really are a global club, and do you know what I mean? It's like everybody goes through this stuff. Everybody experiences disappointment. It's such a human thing, and I think that it's just natural to have these ebbs and flows. It is a natural thing, and we will learn more as a club, as a team, from this 3-0. More from this than we would have done if we'd won 4-0 again. That's just the bottom line, because these players will recognise the behaviours. I heard Jamie Redknapp call it arrogant. There was a sort of unwarranted arrogance about the Spurs players, and I absolutely saw that in many ways as well. I saw Romero, the way that Romero brings the ball out of the back. I saw a lot of that dear long blade passing at the back again. Not a lot going on in the midfield. I think maybe, as hoping that there would be, there would be that half-time sort of surge that we usually have, and that we would roll them over. Fulham did their homework, knew that we would come out after half-time, and then just rolled us over. So fair play to Fulham. Bad day at the office, and in the grand scheme of things, I think we probably needed a good old hiding.
There we go. I think that may well be the title for this week's episode. Fair play to Fulham. Oh. Austin, you finally made it with us. How you doing?
I'm all right. Well, I'm not
excellent. You're not. Yeah, that's been the answer from pretty much. I'm all right. I'm not okay, but I'm kind of okay. Austin, what were your immediate thoughts after the game? Can we just be aware that this is being recorded and going up on YouTube later, so swear words need to be moderated if possible. So.
Oh, flipping heck. Good.
Oh, flipping, yes.
Hey, dang. There were two things that sprang to mind. One is, I thought our passing was absolutely awful. Not so much the people that were passing the ball, but more the people that were receiving the ball, because the number of times we passed the ball accurately, but the receiver was beaten to the ball by the Fulham player who were coming in from behind. I thought they were particularly sharp to the ball in a way that we just weren't, and that was particularly frustrating. But also our finishing was absolutely diabolical again. I mean, we had a number of chances, probably 4, 5, maybe 6 in the game, where we had the opportunity to put the ball in the net, and we just didn't. We missed. And I just thought we were sloppy, full stop. I thought defensively we were average. Oh, hang on, I've got a phone call coming. Just kill it.
The joys of live, well, somewhat live video, yes. Tell him to sod off, Austin. Tell him you're talking Spurs.
Well, oh, fuck off. I mean,
that's the first beep of the evening.
We'll start again, Austin.
Good Lord, go away.
Good Lord, go away, indeed.
I must message them, which I will in a second. No, it was our passing and our shooting that really hacked me off, because I just thought defensively I just thought the whole performance was average.
Yeah.
How does the whole team become average? We know that we've performed away. There must be a good reason for it, and Fulham away on paper doesn't look a particularly scary away day. I think a lot of us would look at that and think a lot easier than the Aston Villa away game.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, I think the what we were missing in the Fulham game was exactly what we had in the Aston Villa game, which did get us over the line, which was a level of fear, given the sort of prestige of the match, if you like, 4th versus 5th, and this whole sort of idea that it's really important to get into Champions League, which I don't think in this season is as important as everyone else seems to think. It just seems to be something that we need to be, it's our last sort of like competition of the year, really, is to get into 4th place, which is why I think that that we want to get 4th. But I think we were just completely lacking that fear factor that we had in the Aston Villa game, which ultimately translates to energy on the pitch.
Yeah, I think that was the really annoying thing for me, is we had one change in the starting 11, and yet the attitude of the entire squad was considerably poorer. You can't blame that on Dragoshin. You can't blame that on the new guy coming in. I thought he actually had a reasonable game. He wasn't as bright and lively as Van der Ven is, but Van der Ven's just a player apart in many, many ways. But honestly, I just didn't feel that the effort and the application were there in this side. And again, as you said, maybe it's just completely down to mentality, and maybe they just look at it and say, oh yeah, we can win this one because it's only Fulham. Fulham have got players in there that will hurt you, as we saw yesterday, and they've got good enough players to take advantage of any side that goes in and does it half-assed. And we did it half-assed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree. Those are good points. One about arrogance, and Charlie's point about fear. That's interesting. I wouldn't think about it that way. Although we should know any team in the Premier League can turn us over and have almost so, including Sheffield United. So you would think, I've interviewed a lot of athletes and I've worked with a lot of athletes in my writing and whatever, and I know there was a coach, Phil Jackson, who won like 5 NBA titles in Chicago and like 5 maybe in LA, and would say these guys, they tune out. They are rich young men who are very skilled, very talented, but unless you keep them interested, they'll just tune out, I'm just wondering why arrogance, fear, what other thing, what could make a whole mass team kind of tune out to the point that they're sloppy and missing opportunities. And did they really care? I don't know. Sonny after the game looked despondent. He looked really, and he apologized to the fans. So
yeah, he was really unhappy.
Very unhappy. So is there an element of these guys? I don't know. I can't figure it out why the whole team would go into this mode. That's what's bothering me, actually.
Well, the first half wasn't that bad. I mean, the first half wasn't bad. And I think all of us at halftime, we've been in that situation 5 or 6 times already this season where we've gone in 1-0 down. We've come back and we've won it. And I think that Fulham on the night had done their homework. Because if you look at where the second 2 Fulham goals came from, and actually almost the third, was in that first quarter of an hour in the second half, or the first half of that second half, where they really came at us hard. And usually it's Tottenham that come out the traps and score 2 or 3 goals between half time and the 70th minute. And I think that when Ange talks about having a identity somewhat, I mean, part of our identity is the fact that that first little bit after half time is absolutely, we are the ones who are on the front foot. We knock in a goal or 2 and we come back from it. And, if a team figures that out, which they have figured it out, then you come unstuck like we did. We were lucky to only lose 3-0 because we were so flat after that. They actually put a 4th in and it was ruled out for offside, I think. And so you looked at that and go, we didn't have an extra gear. We didn't have an extra a game plan there. And that's what I'm saying. It's like not every team we play will be able to play like that against. We can't go in 1-0 down. Every game we play. And I just think that everybody who is having a crack at, whatever Ange part of this team they don't like, they're having a crack at it. You just got to look at Pep's first season, Klopp's first season, Alex Ferguson's first season. When you've got a strong when you've got a strong character in there, and everybody, I don't know anybody who really thinks that Ange isn't. I don't know anybody. Maybe you guys do. That Ange isn't the guy to take us forward for and it will be a 3 or 4 season, thing before we, expect to really be challenging for the Premier League year in, year out. In which case, I think that a result like this, again, I say it again, will teach us more than it will sting in the short term.
There are definitely a few naysayers around who've, laid this on Ange, but I'm firmly of the opinion that this game has actually clarified things for me and made it even clearer that Ange is absolutely the man for us, because he came out after this game and, as somebody said earlier, he was asked straight out, are you worried about the result? And he turned around and he said, no, I'm not worried about the result. I'd be worried if this was the 4th time it's happened this season, but it's the first time it's happened this season. And he said, everybody seems to be getting hung up on this fourth place. And fourth place for me is not what I'm aiming at. I'm aiming for higher than that. I'm aiming to win things. I'm aiming to go for titles. I'm not interested in fourth place. My sights are set higher. And that is exactly what I want to hear from my Spurs manager. So for me, the match itself was horrendously disappointing. The performance was horrendously disappointing. But the reaction by the manager has actually, I think, resolved things to make me go, damn, this is a guy that I want in charge of my club. And he absolutely is.
He's not even playing the same style of, we're not even playing the same style of football we played at the start of the season, which saw us, 5 points clear after 10 games. We're not playing. That isn't, I haven't seen Ange ball. I haven't seen evidence of Ange ball apart from the inverted fullbacks. I haven't seen evidence of the game we were playing at the start of the season at least since Christmas, which was for me characterized by very, very quick one-touch passing out of defensive situations to create space in the midfield, and then the attack, a very, very fast attack. What I see right now is something reminiscent of the Antonio Conte career and Jose Mourinho thing, where essentially we are passing it around at the back and looking to play creatively through, I guess, a sort of mid to low block. Whereas we don't seem to be drawing people to us. I think people are getting wise to us, but I just think that Ange is probably just figuring it out. He hasn't managed in this league before. It's a vast step up from Celtic, and first season, I think he'd be happier to get knocked around and tossed around. So over the closed season, he can really have a think about how he wants to attack next season.
I think it will make it clear to him who he can rely on in tough times as well. Games like this. The other thing I found particularly disappointing was Bissouma's performance, because against Villa, I thought the team did very well generally, but I was actually quite disappointed by the way that Bissouma played. I didn't think that he was the same kind of player we saw in those first 10 games, where he gets the ball and he twists and he turns and he pulls a rabbit out of a hat pretty much every time. You're like, yeah, this is great, it's fantastic. We've not seen that player.
Why do you think we haven't seen that player? Why do you think?
Previously, I thought it was no. I still think it's a lack of confidence. I think he saw when he was doing stuff, he was getting booked every single game, and he got booked in this one. He got jumped on by the press a little bit when a couple of things went wrong, and I think potentially he's just lost a little bit of confidence in himself. And confidence with certain players is so important. And I think the way he plays, you need to have that innate level of self-confidence. And I don't think he's got it at the moment. When Højbjerg came on yesterday, the game changed. We looked so much better.
Absolutely.
After their after their fourth goal, which didn't count, after that one, we looked so much better. And we looked like the team that we're going to score next and maybe even score two. And we should have scored at least one.
It's funny, isn't it? As soon as we got on the front foot, like in those last 15 minutes, as soon as we're on the front foot and we're attacking, Fulham came to pieces. I mean, game. Granted, they were 3-0 up, but like when we play our natural game, when we play at that high tempo, but it's predicated upon that high tempo, and you can't even say that Manchester City play that sort of, to some extent they do, but like the really, really high press, the very, very fast high press that I think Ange is going for. It requires a high level of fitness, and I don't know. Maybe it's just the first season blip.
Yeah, I think it was just Højbjerg came on and showed the drive that we'd been missing throughout the rest of the game. He just lifted the players around him. And I like Werner as well. I thought Werner came in and did a good job, and suddenly looked a lot more dangerous. Austin's nodding, so he agrees with me. What do you think?
No, I do agree with you. I thought Saul was particularly disappointing yesterday. I thought both he and Bissouma were miles behind where they've been previously. And yes, when Højbjerg came on, he did add a drive to the team, as did Werner. I'm actually liking Werner. I think Werner is going to be a very good addition to the team as an aside. But I thought the midfield yesterday was poor. Sarr and Bissouma just didn't do that which they'd been doing previously, and we were just average. I think the subs were good, but again, I think it comes down to finishing. We had 3 or 4 or maybe 5 clear chances to score, and we missed them all. And when you score a goal, suddenly that gives your team incentive and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't do that. And I think that was where we lost out, because had we scored 1 or 2 of those goals, then we might have got the fight back that we hoped for.
Yeah, there was an early Maddison miss before they scored their goals, and I contacted a mate and I said, if we don't win this game, we are going to be ruining opportunities like that, and that's exactly the way it worked out. Which was tough to take.
You guys, Charlie had just mentioned about that up tempo, and then you guys had also mentioned 2 of the 3 midfielders, Basuma and Sarr. Nobody's mentioned Maddison. He's not back yet. He was the key to that up tempo in the first 10. He might have been the best player in the Premier League in those first 10 games.
Yeah, he was.
He has not reached that. That could be affecting that up tempo, Charlie. And I think if you're going to pick on Sarr and Basuma, you can also pick on Mattis for not really lighting it up in yesterday's game, you know. And some of his passes earlier on in the game, 2 passes, they weren't even long passes. They were just like lazy passes, 5 yards, 6, 7 yards, and they didn't get to our play. I'm going, what's up with that, you know? So partly is that I think some of the players, he was out injured. And by the way, Bentancur wasn't in the first 10 games, but he can add. But definitely Maddison, he's gone missing, you know. I hope it comes back to him.
They weren't up for it. You know, to use an old school term, they just really weren't up for that game. And I can't understand why, because everyone else is playing midweek. You know, the big teams are playing midweek. You know, cup competitions, they're having fixture pile-ups and this and that, and moaning about how many games they're going to play. Spurs right now, we get to watch them. I think this is probably added to just how bad this result has been, because we had to wait 2 weeks for actually, or a week. And there was 2 weeks before that, and now we've got 3 weeks. You know, we needed like a decent, you know, highlight reel of the Fulham game to watch 5 times while we were waiting for the boring internationals to sort of transpire. You know, we don't have our intravenous drug of choice, labeled Tottenham Hotspur, for another 3 weeks, and I think everybody's a bit depressed about that right now, to be honest. I am.
Yeah, going into an international break straight after a loss like that is a bit demoralising, I have to say.
There's been like 7 international breaks this season. It seems every time I turn around, there's an international break, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Hey, didn't Villa only draw today? So we are 3 points behind them with a game in hand, right?
Yeah, but that game in hand is Chelsea, and it sounds like we may even have another game postponed because of the FA Cup. So we could end up with 2 games that are going to have to be squeezed in somewhere, and you just know it's going to be the most inopportune moment we can find.
Well, no, but Charlie was just saying we're not playing those games. Yeah, let's play those games. You know, maybe we'll get out to a little bit of a rhythm or something. You know, so I have no problem with those games being thrown in there.
And says something really interesting. Well, it's not interesting. It's just so honest. It's beautiful, and he's very good at that. And he's just saying, like, what's the point in getting to the Champions League if you're not ready to be there?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like with Antonio Conte, we got in, and we are absolutely just some of the most mind-numbing football we've ever played, and horrible, because I just remember listening to them sometimes and just thinking, my God, this just sounds like absolute, you know, just purgatory.
Yeah.
I don't want, personally, as a Spurs team, I am happy with whatever, because you can see when a guy has a plan and he's trying to find an identity for his football team, or he knows the identity he's looking for, and it just takes time to maneuver that into place. And you know, obviously it would require a cataclysmic sequence of bad results in order for this to happen. But I wouldn't be angry at Europa League at this point. I don't care about the Champions League. I care that we're playing good and we've got identity. But if we're knuckling out 1-0 wins to the end of the season just to get over the line in Champions League, for me personally, and it sounds like Ange as well, you know, which is handy, You know, given that he's the manager and I've nothing to do with it. But like for me, that's what I want to see. I want to see that sort of progression of identity versus like, you know, getting over the finishing line with Champions League, which next year sounds like everybody's in it. So
yeah, it's going to be, they're talking about 5 spots now. I don't know how that's going to be affected between the Arsenal and Bayern game, because I know it's between England and Germany for that 5th Champions League spot.
What do you say, Stuart? Are you inferring that that we're going to be split on whether we want Arsenal to win or Bayern to win that game?
I'm kind of split because part of me just doesn't really mind if Kane doesn't win anything this year. Am I being really cruel?
You are a bitter and twisted human.
There is a potential that's true. Absolutely. No, I love Kane. I think Kane's a great, amazing player. But part of me, when he went, I was kind of like, I would kind of love it if he didn't win anything there and we ended up winning the league in the first season he was gone. That would be amazing. Obviously,
Charlie, can I just say, we've known Stuart a long time and he is bitter and twisted.
Absolutely.
I get the mentality, but you know, at the end of the day, it gets stuck. So
yeah.
No, but listen, this is the extent of the Spurs. I mean, the Spurs fan base think that Harry Kane might come back if he doesn't win something this year with Bayern Munich, and I'm just like, well, what planet do these people live? Do you think that, you know? Do you know what I mean? It's like living in the past. Let's move forward. I think.
There you go. It's time for change. Yeah, no, I don't see Kane coming back until if he's going to come back, it'll be when he's in his mid-30s.
I don't want Kane back. I move forward. New Spurs.
Yeah, and I'm the same thing. I love Kane. I thought he was an amazing player for us. You're always going to have to respect everything he achieved, the goals he scored, you know, carrying us over the line more than once. And thanks for all of that. But unless you're going to come back and actually provide something significantly better than what we're going to have, I don't want you. I don't want you to come in and get, you know, a clap on the back and hey, we're doing this for nostalgia's sake. It's not what I'm interested in. You know, we don't want to be doing another situation like we had Klinsmann coming back. We needed Klinsmann to come back to score the goals to get us out of relegation trouble. Sheringham coming back almost seemed like a bit of a farewell to the fans type thing. And he wasn't the same player that left. Good, but not the same player that left. And Kane, thanks for everything you did, but you can go to Man U and be a lesser force there, thanks.
Yeah, take your curse there.
Well, apparently they're interested, but you know.
They are mad. They are so behind the ball.
They're mad there. It's mad. That's what's going on there.
You know, yeah. I'd like to know, we got 10 games left, what each of us expects or would like to see happen over the last 10 games of this season.
When Ange came in and we started really well, and there were people saying, what will happen when we have a blip? What will happen when? And we've had that blip. We had a blip with injuries and suspensions. And he got us back. We've had a blip. And it's the first one, I think, where I think the team just hasn't performed as a team. Although I think the Wolves game that we lost before Christmas, I don't think we played as a team then. But this is the first time that I've thought, what a shit performance. And what I want to know is what happens next. And we've got a fortnight to wait because of the international break. And that's... I was going to say pissing me off, but I won't say pissing me off because that's...
You've done it now. You've done it twice.
sorry, Stuart, but...
Don't say fuck or bugger.
It's annoying me a tad that we've got to wait quite so long to see what happens next.
Yeah, so what do you want to see over the last 10 games, Oz?
I want to see us smash people 4-0 every game. I want Ange to suddenly get them riled up, to get them angry, to get them to get them absolutely, because if we play like we did on yesterday against Arsenal. Arsenal are going to absolutely steamroller us, and so are City, and so are Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I want him to get us back to being in the ascendancy, to being aggressive, to being on the front foot. And I want us to see our finishing improve, because our finishing was shocking yesterday.
What do you say, Charlie, about the last 10 games? What would you like to see?
It's difficult because we have no skin in the game, and it seems like we're destined for at least the Europa League. And I think that Ange has taken all of the pressure off whatever position that we land in. And I know from just micro watching the players and their interviews, they're all behind the manager. So if he's reiterating what he's saying in the press to them, there's no pressure on these European places. The pressure is purely on performance. And so the test is for Ange to. I think you should always need to. Obviously, stakes are pretty high when you come down to the quarter semi-finals, and if you're competing for the title, the stakes are already naturally there. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a very great challenge, should I say, for Ange to get these players to a level of playing the stakes of the season, given that we really don't have that much on paper to play for. And again, like that's with Champions League places notwithstanding, I don't think that that's a pressure that the players are feeling right now. So we've got the Euros, right, coming up this summer. I think the players, so obviously it's going to be a long summer. The players will be playing into that. Most of them will be playing into the Euros. So that's a great thing for, the incentive for players to play well. I just hate this season to peter out. I just can't see Ange being that person. I think if it does peter out, I think we're going to see some whole-scale changes at the start of the summer transfer window, where he's just going to see where people's mettle really lies. So if I'm Ange, I'm looking at people right now and I'm going to go, when there is literally nothing to play for, when the stakes are lower than everybody else around you, especially the fact we're going to play Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City in those last 3 games or 4 games, and Chelsea, all big rivals of ours. I'm excited to see how he rallies those players. And for me, I think those games could be a lot of fun, because I think he's going to be testing a lot out. I don't think there's going to be a lot on the table to play for, bar the Champions League. And like we've said before, I don't think it matters anyway. So yeah. I think we'll get the results to get ourselves in 4th or 5th. And I think England will get that extra place. I don't think Manchester United will catch us personally, but maybe at the same time, I think that, I think we'll really see what this team's all about, and whether they're going to stay together or whether he's going to, roll the dice in the summer.
Ashley, come on, your question. What do you expect to see from the last 10 games?
Interesting what Charlie just said about if it does peter out, where do we think, because I was chatting with a Welsh friend of mine today in Key West, and saying, well, where do we think we could actually improve for, next season? What is Ange looking at, to improve? Yes, this is a real test, the last 10 games. Yes, what will he do? But another center back, another midfielder, another striker. We actually, even if we don't peter out, I still think we need strengthening. I'm sure Ange knows it already, so in many ways, it is kind of a test over the last 10 games to these. By the way, so the first 10 games, we were really good. So this is kind of cool. It's a good bookend, the last 10 games of the season. I would love to see a duplication of that high tempo, whatever, duplication of those first 10 games. I'd love to see that happen for these next test games. But it is a test for the players, because let's hope Ange goes, you know what? Certain players just don't cut it. They've got to go.
Yeah, I think the next 10 games are going to almost be auditions for certain players.
Yeah.
And Ange will be saying to them,
like who? Name names, Stuart.
Yeah.
First of all, there's an easy one. Werner needs to. A decision needs to be taken as whether or not Werner's going to be even at the club next season. Then you've got.
What do you think?
I would like to see him come in, because I think he's got.
I think so too,
he's got the application. I thought we looked better when he came on yesterday, apart from his obvious miss. I think he's a dangerous player. I think he's a smart player, and he has pace to our side like almost no one else in the side. So
It's
I would
controls
like
better
him
than
to say.
Johnson's as well on the left.
His controls better than Johnson's, yeah, absolutely. And I think he's a smarter player than Johnson, who I also think is a good player. I think Johnson is young. He's 22. He's got time on his side. He needs to put together the elements of his game, and he does have very good elements. He's obviously got a good grounding. His dad's a professional footballer and played at a high level, so he has that training. He has that ability.
But he had a shocker yesterday.
He didn't. Well, he looked better again when the subs came on, but yeah, not his finest performance.
I've not been on the anti-Johnson brigade, but I know a lot of people have. Yesterday was the first bad game I thought he had. I hate to sort of name names, but it was a frustrating watch. And again, I don't know why that was. Why he suddenly should be, that way. Anyway, I'm digressing. Who else do you think we should? The
last name on the potential chopping block is Basuma, and I'm really sad to say it because I thought Basuma at the start of the season was immense for us. I thought he was pushing Maddison for our player of the season. I don't think Maddison's at risk because he's such a good player and we know what he can do, and he can do it on a regular basis. But Basuma, since coming back from suspension, since coming back from African Cup of Nations, he's not been the player that we need. And I think if you're going to take this side up a notch, there's one very obvious place, and that's finding someone to take that number 6 spot and just dominate. And I think potentially we saw that player yesterday, Palhinha. Palhinha was so good against us yesterday. If we could try and get him in, if he was in our side, we would absolutely be a position higher or two.
We used to say that about Basuma when he was at Brighton.
when Basuma started this season, people were talking about him being the next best thing after
Dembele. Yeah.
And
that's how good he was. He was that good. And as I said, if we could bookend the season with 10 games, a performance in the last 10 games like we had a performance in the first 10 games, would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But Basuma needs to step up.
I think people got maybe rose-tinted glasses on in terms of Dembele. I know he was a great player, and I know that every player who's played with him says that he's the best player that they've ever played with, and we're talking about huge players saying that. So whatever he's doing, if you look at his sort of highlight reel, you can see why he is one of the most gifted footballers you'll ever like to see. But with Basuma, that Manchester United's performance, the performance against Manchester United early in the season, where he absolutely did everything that you were saying, which was like he was twisting and turning, and he was just like Dembele, and he absolutely bossed that midfield. That has gone, but it's still there. The thing, it seems to me like he's very in a position which needs to be solid week in, week out. He is a player who is wobbly.
Yeah,
and that's the long and short of it, really.
There was a word that came up in my conversation with John today earlier, and that was attitude. And I don't know the attitude. Ange will know the attitude. I want to see a better attitude from our players over those last 10 games. And if the better attitude means no sloppy passes, if it means don't giving up, if it means applying that up tempo, I want to see a better attitude. I'm not giving up. We gave up Brighton game. We gave those goals up pretty easily. Yeah, we got 2 back, but we weren't going to really come back. We gave those goals up. So that was attitude. So there is something there. Can we? And when you're talking about maybe replacing players, I think that has to do with attitude as well. By the way, it'd be great to get an upgrade on Højbjerg. Love the guy, but an upgrade on him. Skip's not even involved, so he's going out. So maybe get an upgrade on him. And nobody mentioned Bentancur. If it takes a whole year for him to get back to where he was, he could be an ace in that midfield, because we haven't had him under Ange because of his injury and recovery. He replace some people in that midfield.
Yeah. I think that Gio will go. I think Gio. It's such a shame because I know that he's very highly regarded by everybody in Argentina, but for some reason I think the Premiership is just shows his colours. Or I don't know. Ange doesn't like him, but nobody really ever has taken to Gio, and I think that we need competition for Maddison, and I think Maddison's a good player. I don't know if he's going to get in a City team every week. I don't know if he's going to get in an Arsenal team every week. And I think if we're going to be really challenging for the big things, we have to look for backups for people like Udogie, Porro, and Maddison, and probably another striker. Because I don't necessarily think that Son is the long-term solution there. In fact, he can't be the long-term solution.
He can't be.
He's 31. No. So I like what Richarlison's done. I'm still not 100% convinced that he's a 25 goal season player. But I love the option there, and I'm excited to see what happens when he comes back in. I think he plays really well with Son. But I think we have to be ruthless, and I think Ange is the kind of person who will be ruthless. He is the kind of guy who will go, look, it's great, but it's not going to win us something. And that's, it's coming out in every one of his interviews. You're hearing this mentality of like, listen, I'm not playing for fourth. It's the third place loser. Like, I'm going for first every time. Why would I do anything else? He's singing all the right tunes, I think, Ange, and I think that'll be reflected in the transfer policy next season.
I think we're definitely in for a busy summer of getting rid of what could harshly be termed deadwood, and bringing in players who can do a job for us. Our left side, where the fullback inverted, that is a position that we absolutely need to fill, because I don't think we've got anyone who can fill in there at the moment. Gio, great player on his day, but he's made of glass and he spends so much time injured. And just for his benefit, he's 27, 28 now. He needs to go somewhere where he's going to play every week, where the style of football is not going to leave him broken. Højbjerg coming towards the end of his contract. It's the last chance we're going to be able to get any money out of him. I've not been impressed for much of the season, despite how well he's come in and done in substitute performances. When he started, he's generally left me feeling pretty lackluster. One thing I really would like to do is somehow get the Fulham manager employed at our club, not as our manager, just so we don't have to face him, because he seems to have our number every single time. God, that guy. Yeah, no, there's going to be a changeover of players, and there may be some names coming in that we don't know about. Players we've never seen before.
And you see that player from Norway getting in the team. He looks like a really exciting player. And actually, now I think about it, he could well be
Sweden.
Is he Swedish? Pretty sure
he's Swedish. Sweden, yeah.
Yeah, he's Swedish.
Is he Swedish? Is he? Yeah, yeah. He looks like a special talent, and I think he was guaranteed. I think one of the reasons he signed for us versus Barcelona was that he was guaranteed a first team squad number next season. So even though he's only 18 years old, we could see him come in, and he looks really, really good.
The interesting thing with him is that he's been played in a slightly different position since we signed him. He's been played in a more advanced position and has been doing very, very well, whereas he was playing deeper before. The talk is that Barcelona were going to sign him and immediately put him in their B side, not even give him a chance in the first team for their main side. And he wanted to play first team football, and he was promised a chance to have a go at Spurs. Not guaranteed a starting spot or anything like that, but he was promised a chance, and he's obviously got the confidence in himself that he can go and he'll take that chance. So I've seen,
could be our answer to Odegaard, couldn't he?
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? But I mean, I've not seen anything of him beyond YouTube clips, and I'd be very surprised if there are many Spurs fans that have, if they don't already live in Denmark. So it's difficult to say.
To see Alfie Devine again next season.
Yeah, Alfie Devine, Jamie Donnelly as well. Jamie Donnelly has got that range of passing that I really think needs to be nurtured and given a chance. Is Ange going to take that risk? Maybe if we get fifth place, if fifth place is a Champions League spot, and Ange says, okay, right, I want to see some different players, is he going to give him a chance and give him a go?
No. That was a really bold point that Charlie made about Maddison, because it's almost the linchpin, and if he isn't connecting and being the linchpin, then it's like Hoddle in the past, or those types of guys, and so you do need good backup. Maybe this Bergvall can actually be it. So I would like to see a really nice backup to play those extra games for Maddison, keep a key position in our team. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really see Manchester City ever lose that player that they have in that position and come undone. And obviously not everyone can be, blessed with so much talent in there. But you never actually, whenever it happens to a Spurs or even an Arsenal, you see that Odegaard comes out of the team. It's like everybody panics that linchpin has gone. Now, I really like seeing Kulusevski there, actually. I thought Kulu came in pretty well and, it suited him to play in the middle. I think he has played 10 a lot in his career. And so I think I don't know if he's the long-term solution there either, but I would just love to get to a position where that front four is so fluid that you never really notice that. I think last night even he put Werner on, Johnson was still on the pitch, and we still had Kulusevski and Son. So there is a way that can be facilitated. So to think that Maddison is the be-all and end-all, it doesn't seem like that's the case with Ange.
I think that Donnelly is the obvious man to come in for Maddison because his range of passing is absolutely fantastic. His vision is fantastic. He can hit reverse passes, and you look at them and you think, how did he see where that player was running to?
Seen that.
I just hope that from what I've seen of him, that because we only see clips on YouTube and I haven't seen him live. But I just hope that he's that good actually in real life and that he can actually replicate that for the first team, which he has been part of for much of the season.
I was listening to a podcast that was interviewing a scout, like a fairly high-level scout, and he was saying the hardest thing to find is a player that can play a ball into space for another player to run onto, because you've got to have this brain to see where that player is going, where the opening is, and then put that ball in exactly the right place at exactly the right speed at exactly the right time for that player to connect with that ball at that point. He said it is so difficult. It's almost impossible to find. And Jamie Donnelly can do that. So
I remember Steve Archibald saying in the 80s, when he was playing with Glenn, he said he could set off on a run and he didn't need to look to see if the ball was coming. He said he knew that when he made that run, the ball was going to arrive at the end of his foot. And that was why it was just quite so good, because Hoddle would know exactly where he was going and he would play it. And that is just such a remarkable talent that it's very hard to replicate. But I think Donnelly has got that sort of ability. I'm not saying he's Hoddle, but he's got that sort
Let's not put that pressure on him.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But when I've seen him play, you see him just hit balls and you don't know where it's coming from, but the ball goes to someone who's making a run. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, no, I think there's a fantastic player in there that, we talked about them before. There's some very good young players coming through. Got some good players out on loan as well. The future is bright. Is the future coming a little bit too quickly for them for next season, though? That's going to be the question.
There seems to be a gulf with me, to me, sorry. There's a massive gulf with me to getting in the Spurs first team. But
even bigger for me, don't worry about it.
Massive. I mean, I could play those balls into space, but
I'm still waiting for my chance.
Stick in there, buddy. It'll come. Yeah. But there does seem to be. I mean, if Alfie Devine seems to be, the hot one right now, and Donnelly as well. Where they talk about their mercurial talent and how good they are, and it's so hard to take that step into the first team. I don't know if it's because we haven't got a settled system yet, and so the propensity is to bring in players and buy in players and pre-established players, because we don't have the settled nature of a first team in order to integrate players without worrying that it's going to, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we haven't had a consistent manager since Pochettino.
I think that's a very fair comment. If you look at Liverpool and look at the number of the youngsters that have come through the Liverpool system,
right,
under Klopp, that they've come in, and Liverpool have been playing with half a team for half this season, and they've been brilliant. Much Absolutely. As I hate to say it, because I hate Liverpool, but they have been brilliant. Harvey White and other players have just slotted straight in, and they've had consistency of management since Klopp joined, which we haven't since Pochettino was in the side.
Yeah, it's one of those unseen benefits of having a manager for 4 or 5 years, is that they're more likely to dip into their academy for what they need, because they're such a fine, well-oiled machine. You naturally want to bring up the younger players. So, you really hope that would be Ange, and so I sort of run block on anyone sort of losing their shit about what's going on in results right now. Like, judge us in not even next year. Quite honestly, like, give us a few years. I mean, just look back at Pep's first year again, like Klopp's and this and that. Like, he will get the chance, and I know that everybody's like very, very confident that Ange will get a lot of time here, and I don't think Ange. I think Ange will be the first person to say if he was failing. That's the sort of person he is, and I think that we're in great hands. I'm really looking forward to the future. That last night was a mess. It was disappointing, not least because we haven't got games for the next 3 weeks. We've got to watch England, who,
or in my case, not watch England. Certainly, yeah.
Right. Watching an England team that really should win the Euros, and you're looking at it like you're gonna. That's whatever. Anyway.
Okay, let's close things out. We're gonna try and finish on a positive note. With all the stuff that's happened yesterday, what's the one thing you've seen that leaves you with a little bit of hope for the future? I'm going to start. The manager's comments left me feeling that this guy has it. He's got in his head what he wants and what he wants to do, and he's going to work as hard as he can to get us there. And that is my positive point for the future. Ashley, you've been quiet for a while. What's your positive thought for the night? Come on, you can do it. I know you're a positive guy by nature.
Don't mention rugby union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met a guy on the street in Hollywood yesterday, and he was from Leeds. He had a Leeds shirt on. And I said, who's this ex-Spurs player? Or maybe he's still a Spurs player who's playing for you guys. And I couldn't remember. And he goes, Rodon. I went, yeah, and he's Welsh. Yeah, anyway. Oh, yeah. He said he's been great. So isn't Wales, aren't they in some sort of for the Euros? Aren't they in a playoff? I think maybe. Yeah, maybe they're playing now, because we don't know what England's doing, but maybe Wales might. There's a positive. If Wales have a game, it could be later in the season. Then I'm all up for that. The new Welsh team, I'm all up for that. As for Spurs, 10 games, I just want to see, like I said earlier, a bookend of the first 10 games with better attitude. And come on, Ange, get them motivated again.
Welsh playoff is 21st of March. Wales versus
It is
England.
coming.
Yeah.
Who got that stat for you off to your left? Do you have somebody working for you? A stato?
No, I have Google. Okay. Google's great. Multi-screen setup. Yeah, absolutely. Right, Austin, your positive thought for the evening.
My positive thought is I don't think we'll play as badly again as we did yesterday.
That's a reverse negative. Find it works. It works.
Well, no, I think Ange is a positive guy. He works on the positive. He works on the team getting better. He works on the performances getting better. And I wouldn't have liked to have been in the dressing room yesterday after the match.
Oh no! Yes, Charlie, you can close things out for us.
Positive hiding. Positives. I think I've been quite positive, very positive the whole time. I'm gonna say that positive thing is that Fulham stand at Fulham looks really nice.
The new stand. The Thames, they did a good job. Architecture was on point.
It's odd. Do you know why they can't open half of that yet? Is it just like it was very, very strange? Anyway, but no, I think my positive thought is that we can get a good old hiding, play like absolute crap, and we're not asking for the manager's head immediately, and I think that's progress.
Absolutely, yes.
Best answer yet, I heard, Charlie.
There we go. All right, everybody, thank you very, very much for joining us. As always, if you've got this far, we'd really appreciate a like. We'd really appreciate it if you subscribed, and it'd be even better if you could give us your thoughts and feelings in the comments section below. That's it for another, I would say another week, but it's another 2-3 weeks. I hope Wales do well. I hope England do well. Come on, allez les Blues as well while I'm at it. So yeah, let's have some fun, everyone. Let's enjoy the international break and come back for that Luton game, refreshed, revived, and ready to give them a proper ass whipping. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Cheers, Stuart.